The end of the world. At exactly 20:14 p.m., the world as we knew it stopped spinning. Satoru Gojo, the man who held the entire balance of power on his shoulders, has been sealed. The strongest is gone, and the absolute chaos of the Shibuya incident has officially begun. If you thought the stakes were high before, you aren't ready for this. With the god of the modern age locked in a box, the monsters are no longer hiding in the shadows. They are running the streets. Today, we witness the birth of a new blood-soaked era where heroes are hunted and the King of Curses begins to stir within his vessel. This is the Season 1 finale, the Feast of the Fallen. Grab your gear and steady your heart, because the sun is setting on humanity and the Crimson Dawn is almost here. Scene 1. The Radiance of Despair. Inside the cold, fluorescent-lit depths of Shibuya Station, the unthinkable has happened. The prison realm, a fleshy, eye-covered cube, sits on the tracks, humming with the captured essence of Satoru Gojo. Outside, the city is screaming. Inside, the curses are laughing. I can still hear his voice, Yuji narrates. Gojo told him to win no matter what. But how do you win when the man who taught you how to fight is gone? Yuji isn't afraid to die. He's afraid of what happens if he lives and fails. He knows that if they don't take back that box, the sun will never rise over Tokyo again. Deep within, Sukuna purrs with predatory delight. Satoru Gojo was a boring ceiling brat. Now that the roof is gone, the stars are finally visible. Scene 2. The sorcerers unleashed. The signal from Mechamaru reaches every sorcerer on the perimeter. The time for waiting is over. A montage shows the teams entering the veil. Nanami Kento moves with mechanical precision, his blunt blade wrapped in cloth. Megumi Fushiguro summons Max Elephant, crushing waves of curses. Miki and Nobara become a whirlwind of steel and nails. This is no longer a rescue mission, Nanami states, his voice cold as a razor. It is a war of attrition. He orders everyone not to hold back. Nobara, driving a nail into a curse's skull, is fueled by pure rage. They took her teacher, and she's going to make every one of them wish they were never born. Scene 3. The Mechamaru Legacy. Yuji sprints through the streets, guided by the mechanical earpiece. The voice of Muta Kokichi Mechamaru is flickering, a ghost leading a hero through a graveyard. Character Deep Dive. The Ghost in the Machine. Muta Kokichi's ultimate Mechamaru was never just a weapon. It was a contingency plan. By scattering these devices, he ensured his information reached the one person who could change the outcome. Yuji Itadori. This is the ultimate redemption of a traitor. He gave his life so the strongest wouldn't be lost forever. Mechamaru's voice crackles as he tells Yuji to destroy the substations, reinforcing the veil. His final words are a heartbreaking apology to Maiwa. Yuji, tears blurring his vision, promises to tell her everything. Scene 4. The Grasshopper Plague. Yuji reaches the Meiji Jingame station and meets Kogai, a grotesque humanoid grasshopper curse. It smells the Sukuna finger within Yuji and drools acidic bile. It thinks it's clever because the brain man told it to stay and eat humans. Yuji doesn't waste a second on techniques. He lunges with animalistic grace, his physical strength at its peak. He punches the curse in the thorax with the force of a sledgehammer, shattering the ticket gates. I don't have time for puzzles, Yuji growls. Get out of my way. Scene 5. the inversion of power. Nanami's rage. Elsewhere, Nanami and Megumi encounter Awasaka, a sorcerer with the inversion technique that makes strong attacks weak and weak attacks strong. Nanami, looking at his watch, notes that he is working overtime and is extremely irritable. He calculates the logic of the technique and strikes with a precise weak flick. Because of the inversion, the force is magnified tenfold, shattering Awasaka's ribs. A series of rapid, low-impact strikes turn into bone-crushing blows, leaving the traitor in a heap. Scene 6, the face of the imposter, at B5F, the entity inside Geto's body, the brain, struggles to lift the prison realm. The cube has become incredibly heavy as it processes Gojo's infinite complexity. Jogo and Choso watch as the imposter laughs. The weight of his absence is what will crush this society, the brain says. Choso, his blood simmering, doesn't care about the new world. He only cares about killing Yuji Itadori to avenge his brothers. Suddenly, a tremor rocks the platform. Yuji has arrived. Scene 7. The feast begins the cliffhanger. The episode reaches its climax as Yuji Itadori bursts onto the B5F platform. He sees the prison realm. He sees the man who looks like Geto. And he sees the curses that killed his friends. The neons of the station flicker, casting long, jagged shadows against the walls. Yuji's cursed energy is no longer blue. It's a dark, bruised violet, sparking with the residue of Sukuna's influence. Yuji, give him back. The brain smiling, welcome, Yuji Itadori. The feast is served, but I'm afraid you're not a guest. You're the main course. As the two sides prepare to clash, the camera zooms out, flying up through the concrete and high above the black veil. We see the entire city of Tokyo. Half of it is in light, and half of it is consumed by the dark dome. And then, the final haunting image. A second veil begins to fall over the first, more opaque, more permanent. The trap is locked. Scene 8, Season 1 Epilogue. The teaser. The screen fades to black. A few seconds of silence pass. Then, we hear the sound of a heartbeat. Thump. Thump. We see a glimpse of a snow-covered field. A man with long white hair and a frozen expression is standing there. This is Yuram, the ancient subordinate of Sukuna. They are holding a frozen head of a curse. Yuram whispering, "The time is near, Lord Sukuna. The preparations are complete. The Shibuya incident is merely the beginning of your resurrection." The camera pans to a hand. Yuji's hand. But the nails are long and sharp. A second mouth opens on the palm of the hand, licking its lips. Sukuna's voice. Finally. A world worth burning. The final suspense. And that, my friends, is how Season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen comes to a bloody, spectacular end. The king of the world is locked in a box. The monsters are in the streets, and our heroes are fighting for a future that looks darker than ever. Can they survive the night, or is this the permanent end of the sorcerers? The fate of Gojo. Is the prison realm truly inescapable? What will happen to the world now that its strongest protector is gone? The Shibuya Massacre. Season 2 will cover the full Shibuya incident arc. Expect more deaths, more black flashes, and the return of characters you thought were gone forever. The King's Return. Yuji is reaching his limit. If he lets Sukuna out to save his friends, Will there be anything left of Yuji Itadori when the sun comes up? Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you're reeling from the shock of Gojo's sealing, smash that like button and subscribe. Press the bell icon so you are the first to know when we start our Season 2 Shibuya Incident series. Who do you think is the real MVP of Season 1? Vote in the comments below. The story doesn't end here, it only gets bloodier. End of Season 1.